Welcome back to the channel. Leon Sylvester here, founder of soberclear.com, and today I've got 8 rules for you to follow to help you get sober. If you're looking for a framework to follow or just some simple rules that you can follow along with, then you're going to want to watch this short video. Now, if I were you, I'd watch every single one of these 8 things because I've applied these things in my own life, in my own journey to stop drinking, but these are also some key principles that I use in the Sober Clear program. Now, if you do want my personal help stopping drinking without AA, without willpower, without rehabs, and you want to go through the Sober Clear program, get help reframing the way that you view alcohol as well as the coaching and the community and all of that good stuff, make sure to click the link in the description. There's a short video to watch that outlines the program, how I work with people. You'll be able to book a call and we can see if the Sober Clear program may be good for you. But for now, guys, 8 rules of getting sober. Now, the first rule and the first thing that you can do is write the pain and pleasure list. We're all either motivated to move away from pain or to move towards pleasure. We can actually use these 2 giant forces to help uncover some of the motivations that we've actually got. So what you can do is you can write reasons why I want to stop drinking, and then you can write 2 columns on a page where you've got pain and then you've got pleasure. And then underneath pain, you want to start writing about all the things that are causing you pain when it comes to your drinking. So you might want to write that you've put on weight. You might want to write about how your relationship's not at its best, how your career's not at its best, your energy might not be at its peak. You might have health scares. You want to start writing about things that cause a lot of pain. And don't be afraid to go to that dark place in your mind. Don't be afraid to start writing about things that it just causes a lot of inner turmoil, because that's the whole point of this exercise, right? We're trying to uncover what is causing you so much pain. Now, under the second half of the page, you want to have the heading of pleasure. And underneath pleasure, you want to start writing about all the things that you can go towards if you make alcohol irrelevant. That might mean getting back in the gym, getting back into a tip-top shape, stepping up in your business, stepping up in your career, stepping up in your relationship. It might mean just being more organized, being more productive, getting more things done in your day, feeling happier, feeling more energy. You want to start writing a list of all the things that you can move towards after stopping drinking. And when you finish this, what you've done is essentially organize your thoughts. You've really got it down on paper. You're going to have this big, long list of things. You know, some of these things are just going to be huge motivators for you. One of the first times that I stopped drinking, now, despite I didn't use the first principles mental model, I just used willpower, but I actually still went through with this. But I didn't write about the pain. All I did is write about the pleasure. And I remember I basically woke up one morning, I'd thrown up blood on a MacBook Pro, and it was just this horrible ordeal. And it was that day where I said, right, I'm stopping drinking, just use willpower. I lasted about 9 months. But what I did before I actually made the decision to stop was I did write about the pleasure. I wrote about the things that I could get if I was to make alcohol irrelevant. And in my case, that was writing about being a personal trainer. It was learning more about being self-employed, starting a business, doing all of that stuff. And that was something that I then moved towards. You know, you guys probably already know there was a point where the willpower ran out. About 9 months into it, I ended up drinking again, went back into the downward spiral, and now here I am, sober for 2.5 years. But the point of the matter is that pleasure that I wrote about just made such a big difference. It gave me motivation. Now, obviously, I was missing the other half of the equation, which is first principles thinking, but it was enough to get me going for the next, 9 months. So I still think this is an extremely valuable exercise. So if I were you, I'd actually pause the video right now. I'd get the 2 columns down on paper, write about the pain, write about the pleasure, and then we can move on to the next point. So the second rule for getting sober is to ignore society's beliefs. Society have this belief that alcohol is a good thing. They have this belief that it helps you, that it's pleasurable, that there's a benefit to it. So when you go to stop drinking it and you start to tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, whoever it may be, your colleagues, whatever, they're going to look at you and they're going to think that you are crazy. Seriously, they're going to think you're a crazy person. Now, if you think that there's a benefit to exercise and you've got a friend that says, listen, I've been watching this guy on YouTube and he says that there's no benefit to exercise, I'm quitting exercise. You would genuinely think that that person's maybe lost the plot a little bit because you know that there is a benefit to exercise. So why would that not happen to somebody that believes that there's a benefit to drinking alcohol? One of these people that say, oh, I can take it or leave it. It's no big issue. It's just a pleasure. It's an enjoyable thing. If you go to that person and say, dude, I'm not drinking anymore, and they turn around and go, what, are you crazy? Of course they're going to react like that because that's what they believe. And you've got to be mindful and know that this is going to come. This is going to come no matter what. People are going to look at you and think that you were the crazy one for not wanting to drink a poison. Obviously, it is the wrong way around. They are the crazy ones. They're drinking the poison. They're doing the abnormal thing. By not drinking alcohol, that is the normal way to do things. But we've been conditioned to think that it's the other way around. Apparently, drinking is the normal thing to do. abstaining from drinking is the abnormal thing to do. So you've got to be mindful, you've got to be aware, and you've got to be ready to deal with this. And the key is just to ignore it, is to accept it, let go, and just move on. The third rule is to understand that there's really nothing to give up. Like I said, people believe that alcohol gives them something, and they think that they're the normal people for drinking a poison, for drinking a drug. But really, when you're able to reframe the way that you view it, when you're able to see it for what it is, you realize that there's really nothing to give up in the first place. It's simply something that you just push away and move on. And if you're mindful and you're able to see it for what it is, then you really just see that there is nothing to give up. And I know that that might sound a little bit outlandish and a little bit crazy, and some of you guys are thinking, Leon, like, dude, there's obviously something to give up. It's hard, it's difficult, you need willpower, you need all of this stuff. And I used to think that as well. But then once I'd really challenged my beliefs and really challenged the way that I saw alcohol, I just realized that there really is nothing to give up. I just don't drink and get on with my life. And that might sound like a little bit of a big mindset shift, so you might want to go back and look at some previous videos that I've made, or you may wish to join the Sober Clear program where I help you go through that reframing process. Don't forget, short video to watch in the description and you can book a call. Now, the fourth thing that you can do, and it kind of goes on from the last point, but is to write about the identity of the person that you can become to achieve your dream. So you may have a dream that one day you want to retire, or one day that you want to get your health in tip-top shape, or one day you want to have a family or step up in your relationship or whatever. A great thing to do is to write about the person that you would need to become to achieve this dream. So you can start writing about the characteristics, write about the habits that this person would have, write about how their energy would be, write about who this person would be. And you can start to define a character, you can start to define somebody. And it's very, very likely that this version of you wouldn't have alcohol in it. If you were going to upgrade yourself and your identity and who you think you are, well, it's very unlikely that alcohol would play a part of it, but there would also be many other things that you'd probably add. So for example, when I had to create Sober Clear, there were so many things that I wasn't. I had to become, I had to change who I thought I was. So it's another great exercise, and it's to start writing about who you would need to become to achieve what you want. Now, the fifth rule is committing to a program. Now, I've made the mistake in the past where I tried to do it alone. I used willpower. It lasted for a short period of time, but there was a time where the willpower ran out. But the key is to really commit to a program. Now, my mother hasn't drank for over 20 years. Incredible achievement. And what she did is she committed to AA. She went all into AA. She went when she was young. She said, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm going all in. I'm focusing on this. I'm focusing on nothing else. I'm blocking out all the noise. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love my mum to pieces, right? My mum is awesome. She's just great. But she's never looked at my content. She's watched the YouTube videos, but she's never gone through the program, right? She's never gone and read all the material that I've developed, because she's found a solution to her problem. She's all into AA. So what she's done is she's found a solution and she's cut off all the other noise. Now that's what I get people to do in the Sober Clear program. I get them to go all into one program, cut off all the noise, just focus on this and just ignore everything else. Because that's really the key, right? It's to commit. It's to go all in. It's to be like, this is the thing that I'm committing to. And for some of you guys, that might mean that you go to a church. It might mean that you take the religious approach. For others, there are other stop drinking programs out there. You may resonate with somebody and you're like, I've found the coach, I've found the person, and I'm going all in. This person is the one for me. But the key word here is, like I said, it's all about commitment. It's about finding something that you can follow, some kind of system, some kind of framework, some kind of methodology, and just going, this is it. I'm making this happen. The sixth rule of getting sober is to write about your purpose. It's to write about your why. And it's something that I get people to do in the Sober Clear program. I get them to write about why they're committed to making these big changes. So that's something that you can do right now. You can start writing about your why. Like, what is your purpose? Maybe your purpose of getting sober is because of your family. So write about this. Fill up a full page of your motivation, your reasons why you want to stop drinking. In fact, if I were you, come up with 10, if not, come up with 100 reasons why you want to do this. And what you can do is you can refer back to this. You can, if you're ever struggling, if you're ever going through a hard time, and you can look at this big list of all these reasons why you want to stop drinking, that can just keep you on track. For me, some of my big reasons for wanting to stop drinking were to get my health back, to get into another relationship, to get my fitness back up to where I think it should be, to start a business, to be able to move to Asia, to travel, to work on the internet and do all of these things. And that was my motivation. And it still is my motivation, but I knew that that was what I wanted, and I knew that alcohol was stopping me from achieving those things. So write about your why. Now, the seventh rule of getting sober is to really ignore your ego. Your ego can really stop you from growth. It can get in the way of you really saying that, I need help. I'm going to find a program. I'm going to find something. I'm going to find help and really commit to it. And your ego can often say, I don't need help. I can do it alone. I'm fine. I'm good. I can do everything on my own. Now, this is something that I've recently kind of dealt with myself. Like when it comes to running Sober Clear, at first I'm like, I'm fine. I know how to do it. I can do it alone. And recently I started working with the coach. And the coach, it was 3 or 4 months ago when we started working together. And it's really somebody that's pushing me and challenging me. And, I had to put a lot of money down and all of this stuff. But the point of the matter is, my ego was stopping me from growing. And you really don't want to let your ego get in the way of finding a solution to stopping drinking. Sometimes it's good just to say, do you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to find help. There's nothing wrong with finding help. In fact, it takes a hell of a lot of strength to say, I need help. And in the society that we live in, people kind of think that that's a sign of weakness. Absolutely not. It's a sign of courage. It's a sign of bravery. It's really a sign of true strength. So don't let your ego get in the way. There's an amazing book that I recommend called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and it really talks about the ego and what it is, and I'll put a link to it in the description. I think this book is amazing. It's one of the best books that I ever read, and I highly, highly recommend it. But don't let your ego get in the way of getting help. And guys, the final thing is to go all in mentally. Sometimes I get people that want to join the Sober Clear program and I get on the phone with them and they start discussing motivations for stopping, and they kind of want to do this. They kind of want to dip their toe in the water. And sadly, when it comes to stopping drinking, it doesn't really work like that. You've got to find something and you've got to go all in mentally. You've got to be ready to make changes and you've got to be ready to go, this is it. This is it. I'm going to make this happen. Watch me. And guys, don't forget, if you do want my help stopping drinking, short video to watch in the description. You can book a call, see if the Sober Clear program is a good idea for you. And if you click the videos on the screen now, you can learn more about the one thing that got me to stop drinking forever, as well as the 4 stages of stopping drinking. Thanks a lot.